All right, Nick, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. This is a team that we love to talk about. Obviously, they've been off the kind of a rough start, defensively, especially. I think offensively, they've been off to a pretty good start. They have had very, very good games, and they've on kind of a trend lately. And you have the story on this offense, and we're going to get into that here in just a moment. But Lions fans, I know it's been tough, a lot of close games, a lot of tough losses. But there have been some very, very, very bright spots, especially this last game. There's one in particular. I'll let you tell me in the comments below. But Lions fans, let us know who was your MVP of this past game? Who's been the bright spot up to this point in the season for you? Let us know in the comments below. We're anxious to hear what you got to say. But Nick, this Detroit offense is something. So let's get into that story.
Yeah, so Field Yates tweeted about this. I think it's very interesting. Is that talking about this? The Lions and their opponents have now combined for 281 points for the first 4 games of the season. That's the most ever in NFL history. So that's obviously some good and some bad. They've given up a lot of points, but they've scored a lot of points. Yates went on to mention that Detroit leads the league in points scored at 35 per game. And when you talk about MVPs, I'm going to talk about a quarterback I did not say a lot of good things about. I've been very, very critical about Jared Goff.
Me as
I
well.
did not think he would be productive in this offense. I thought that maybe should have gone quarterback in the offseason, potentially even draft a young guy. But Jared Goff, to his credit, has done a lot of really nice things. Obviously, the turnover against Seattle was a big one, but throughout the day, his numbers were absolutely outstanding. 26 of 39 for 378, 4 scores. An incredible threw for 378 yards. That's 9.7 yards per clip. That's obviously extremely high against a pretty scrappy, pretty young, pretty athletic Seattle defense. So that's obviously very impressive. And keep in mind, Mice, he did this with Amon-Ra St. Brown out. Jameson Williams still hasn't made his appearance yet. So he's doing this with a depleted group of playmakers around him. DeAndre Swift didn't play. So he had a huge day when his team really needed him to do it. I think he was really impressive. And this Lions offense right now is bordering on historic territory. What are your thoughts on Goff and this Lions offense right now?
So I'll be honest with you, Nick. I kind of forgot about Jameson Williams. He hasn't been a factor
Yeah.
up in this point. It is crazy that St. Brown, he's going to be back. Jameson Williams is going to be coming in. Obviously, Hawkinson had the biggest breakout of his career so far, had a heck of a day. And then Jamal Williams showed that he could be the number one guy, but obviously you have a dual head monster back there with Williams and Swift. So this offense could be even better than it already is on this historic pace it's going on. That's pretty scary to think about. And you go into the quote after the game, post game, Jared Goff says, instead of placing the blame on the defense, he goes, "We just need to score more points." And with the addition of Jameson Williams coming in, St. Brown coming back, and DeAndre Swift coming back, they could have scored more points. So this is pretty interesting so far if you think about it. This Lions offense is primed to make a breakout. They definitely need to make some tweaks on defense, but this offense has been crazy, and I think you have a couple of stats to tell us how crazy it's been.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that Goff comment. You know the kind of quarterbacks that make that kind of comment after having a huge day? That's the Tom Brady's, that's the Peyton Mannings and the Pat Mahomes. And you know what makes that really relevant is that Jared Goff is leading this offense on that kind of pace. So you look at the top 3 scoring teams in NFL history. You're talking about the 2013 Denver Broncos, the 2007 New England Patriots, and the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs. And you compare their first 4 games against what the Detroit Lions, led by Jared Goff, have done through these first 4 games. And guess what? The Lions are right on there. They're right in the money. They're just ahead of the 18 Chiefs, just behind the 07 Patriots. The 13 Broncos kind of had a big lead against those guys. But you can tell this Lions offense in terms of points per game is right on that same level. And let's give some credit where credit is due here. It's not like the Lions have played some scrubs. They scored 35 against Philly. That's a really good team. That's a really good defense. We already talked about this young, fast, athletic Seattle defense. They did a lot of good things against Minnesota, 24 points. That's a really good defense there as well. Washington has some players on defense too. They've got a good front four. They can get after the quarterback, stomp the run a little bit. And the Lions obviously had a big day against them too. So the Lions are doing this, missing some of their guys and also doing it against quality opponents. I think at some point we have to look at Dan Campbell and Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and Goff, and is like, give him some credit here for thinking this could be like the best offensive coaching and quarterback job we've seen in a long time. When you look at what the Lions are historically and what they've done this year.
Yeah, and I go back and look at these Lions games. You know, one score loss to the Eagles, within one score loss to the Vikings, within one score loss to the Seahawks. These are tough, tough, tough
That
losses.
close.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're so close, and this is
Against
reminiscent.
good teams too, right?
Yeah,
Vikings are good, Eagles are
the
good, right? These are
Eagles are theoretically the best team in the NFL right now, the only team still undefeated. The Vikings have been good. The only team the Vikings has lost to, I believe, was the Eagles. So
correct, yeah.
another really good team so far this season. And Seattle has a pretty high-powered offense. So you go toe-to-toe with them. We'd never imagine saying the Geno Smith-led Seahawks with a high-powered offense, but here we are.
Yeah.
Uh, and like you said, Commanders have some dudes on defense, and they have some pretty good receivers. Outside of that, not that strong of a team, but nonetheless, they have some guys. I think that Seattle is going to turn, or excuse me, I think the Lions are going to turn a corner here. I think the big game, the big turnaround game is going to be this week up against the Patriots. I think whether or not Mac Jones can come back is going to be a big deal. But I think this is where the offense really sets itself back. Maybe some guys are starting to get healthy. But if not, then you got the bye. You go up against a tough Dallas team. Dolphins, going to be another tough team that you're going to have to shoot out with. And Packers are beatable, I would say. So I think
Yeah.
the Lions have some winnable games going forward. And I think rounding out the end of the season, that's going to be where they really make their money. But this is a Lions team that, if they can tweak this defense just a little bit, this offense has been performing at such a historic rate that they are going to be ready to. This offense is ready for the playoffs. We just need the defense to be a little bit serviceable, and they're going to be there.